My name is Colby Sharp. I am a 5th grade teacher in Michigan. Welcome to my channel, where we try to help kids fall in love with reading through books and the power of story. I am so excited today to be telling you and talking to you about 5 amazing middle grade novels that I read my students during the pandemic year, the 2020-2021 school year. Please let me know immediately, if you can, books that you read aloud to kids during this year. I'm always, also what grade you teach or which age students you work with, because I want to know what books are your read aloud go-tos or ones you tried this year. I just want to know. I just want to know like what books everyone is reading. Everyone. So please let me know down in the comments the books you're reading. Okay, now we're going to talk about 5 amazing books that I read during this year. Start with this one. I read this one very early in the school year. Jacqueline Woodson's Before the Ever After. It's a story of this boy and his father, really. His father is an NFL football player. And, you know, he obviously, and then they have this super awesome relationship. And it's just like this amazing family. And dad's still playing the NFL, but then he starts to have some head issues, some brain issues. The concussions have got to him. This novel in verse from Jacqueline Woodson is so moving and powerful, and just to watch this boy's dad struggle and watch him try to deal with it and handle it, and he's got friends, but then like they can't come over because his dad gets angry at times. His dad's just this giant hero of so many. And to just see him have to go through that. And, you know, my students, you think about being an NFL football player, being a professional athlete, you know, that's such a abstract thing. And we so often think about these people we see on TV as an athlete, just an athlete. And LeBron James, I guess, said it best, that he's more than an athlete. And I think this book really shows some of the, not just the consequences or the side effects, but it just shows that these people are humans, and they have kids possibly, and maybe a spouse, and you know, they're broken and they are real and 3-dimensional. And I think this novel in verse does an amazing job of showing that. My kids were captivated by it. It's not necessarily the most like joyful book ever, but it does, I think, provide a lot of hope, and it is a beautiful, beautiful story. So if you haven't read this one, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful read aloud novel in verse, so lots of white space, great places to chat about the book with the kids. Awesome book. Next up, that was the first year. This book just came out, I think. Yeah, so it's the first year I read it. This is the book of all of the books that I'm talking about. This is the only book that I have read aloud multiple times. I've read this 4, 5, 6 times to kids. I love it. I just love spending time in Macquarie Middle School with Dwight and Harvey and just all these amazing characters. Tommy has got this case file going. If you haven't read this book or gone back to this book, I highly recommend you reread it. I really think it's one of the best books written in the last 15 years. I think it captures school in just a beautiful, honest, nerdy way that I just love. And I love watching my kids try to figure out if Origami Yoda is real. I love how hard they fall for these characters and like the different individual stories. It just makes for like a really, really special read aloud. If you haven't read it, Tommy wants to ask this girl to dance at the school dance, but he's worried she's gonna say no. His friend, Dwight, carries his finger puppet, Star Wars finger puppet, and he gives like this amazing advice to all the kids. So he's trying to figure out if it's real. So he does like this big case study, and then Harvey's kind of a jerk at times, and he comes in at the end of each case study, each like little section, and has his thoughts, and Tommy has his thoughts. There's these fun little illustrations throughout. I mean, if you haven't read this book, you are in for a treat. And then what's awesome about reading this one aloud is then the kids want to read Darth Paper Strikes Back and Fortune Wookie and Princess Label Maker and all of the other books in the series. So I love this book. It is just so amazing. I wish that we could go back to Macquarie Middle School. Like, I miss it, but I guess I get to do it whenever I read aloud this book and introduce it to a new group of readers. So good. All right, next up, this is a book. We Dream of Space by Erin Entrada Kelly. She is the Newbery Medal winning author of Hello Universe, and this is the read aloud was going so well. It was going so well. We were on page 71. And then pandemic took us from in-person to virtual. and then we had winter break. And then it was to this point where I didn't even know what to do. Like, we were at page 70, so we were too far to start over. And we weren't far enough, I felt like, where we could keep going. So we actually didn't finish this one. And it makes my heart really sad because they were loving it. And it was going really, 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 really well. It's got, it's told from these 3 different siblings' perspectives. And it just was so sad to not be able to finish it. I don't know if I made the right choice to not finish it. A couple of kids finished it and seemed to really like it, but that was really tough. And I think it kind of sums up what it's been like teaching in a pandemic and what it's been like trying to navigate things and make hard decisions. And I'm really sad. I'm really sad that we didn't get a chance to finish this. This happened to us last year in the 2019-2020 school year. We were reading aloud The One and Only Bob when we went virtual, and we never came back. And I decided to not read aloud during our Zoom meetings. That's just hard, right? It's hard. And I probably made so many millions of wrong decisions this year. Not finishing this might have been one of those decisions, but definitely going on my short list of books to read aloud next year. Definitely want to give it a try. I just could not get enough of those characters, Bird especially. But yeah, We Dream of Space didn't get a chance to finish it. I'm so sad. All right, book 4. Halfway to Harmony. This was our last middle grade novel, last chapter book read aloud. It's by Barbara O'Connor. She wrote How to Steal a Dog. She wrote Wish. She is just an amazing author who writes these beautiful stories with these amazing characters that read aloud really, really well. I had read aloud How to Steal a Dog multiple times over the course of the years, and it's been really fun. So I thought I would read this one. And what I did with this one, I tried to do this once a year, and it's always gone really well. And I just, it's so awesome. So I read this aloud blind. I had not read it before. I, talked to some people who had read it. I kind of flipped through a little bit to see how long the chapters were. It's a nice thickness, not too long. And I read it aloud blind. No idea what was going to happen. And it's so fun to do because, like, as teachers, like, we'll read to a certain spot and then stop. And, like, we know what's coming and we know when to stop. But, like, this, I had no idea. So, like, I was experiencing the book with them. So, like, my thoughts to our conversation and when I was thinking out loud, all of that stuff was so much more authentic because it was real. It wasn't like I was making it up to try to teach them something. It was just like me as a reader. And then, like, also, like, when, like, the teacher, like me, didn't know what was going to happen, then I would, like, find more time for us to read during the day because I'm, like, a reader, right? Like, I am a reader, and, like, I want to know what's going to happen. I wanted to know what was going to happen to Walter and Posey and Banjo. So this is a super awesome book, a super fun book to read aloud. It's a story. I made a whole video about it. You can just watch that if you. I don't need to get into it again. But Walter and Posey, they become friends at the very beginning of this book, and they go on this wild adventure to find a hot air balloon because they found the person who they thought was dead who had crashed. It's just a wild story. His brother had passed away in the war, and he's really struggling with that. It's just such a fun book. And Posey is the bomb. A bomb. Barbara O'Connor, companion. Let's go. Like, give us Posey before Harmony. Like, I'm asking you, Barbara O'Connor. I don't know if you've done that. Have you done a companion before? But, like, give me Posey, like, prequel companion. Let's go. Get to work. All right, and finally, Alone, a middle grade novel in verse that I would have loved with all my heart when I was in 5th grade. So this girl, Maddie, she wakes up one morning after, like, sneaking away and staying at her grandparents' house without letting her parents know, and everyone in the town is gone. And then shortly after that, all of the television stations are out. Cell phone service out. No one is there. It's a novel verse. And she doesn't know what happened. Like, there was some weird stuff going on with, like, military and stuff, but, like, she's not sure what happened. And they're all gone. And they're gone for years. And she has to, like, survive by, like, going to the grocery store that she just walks into and, like, going into other people's houses and finding food and water. And, like, she gets a dog and she got to take care of this dog. It's wild. They could not get enough of this book. I would say this was probably, as a class, their absolute favorite read aloud of the year. They were so into it. They were so blown away. It's so mind-blowing, right? It's like Hatchet, right? In a way, it's that survival story, all alone story, all by yourself. What will you do? And I think the novel in verse was a really beautiful way to tell a story like this. When someone is alone, just to have all that space and all that time for thinking. So Alone, an amazing, amazing book. We read so many awesome books. You should read all of these. If you haven't read them, you should at least read them and think about reading them aloud. So again, let me know, what books did you read aloud this past school year to your students? Let me know down in the comments so I can read them this summer and then maybe add them to my list. My name is Colby Sharp. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome, fantastic day.